You know what you should do? You should follow me on Twitter at Brommer018. Link in the description. Do it now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another FIFA 21 Tactics video, the series where I show you how to recreate and adapt real life systems so that they will actually work in game. Today we switch our focus onto Liverpool's 4-3-3, the Jurgen Klopp system for Liverpool, the one that's brought them so much success in recent times, including that long awaited Premier League title. What we do, if you're new to this series, I'll show you first of all any position changes that we make. And then we move on to the tactics, and then finally we'll finish off with the player instructions. We don't completely replicate it. Well, in most cases we do, but sometimes there might be little tweaks here and there just so it replicates it better in game. For example, you'll see, and we'll go into it shortly, that we've got Robertson and Alexander-Arnold as wing backs and not fullbacks, but we'll talk about that very shortly. If you do enjoy this video, then please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more regular content. Lots of FIFA videos and stuff. Also give my second channel a look as well, Brommer Ball, where we talk about, you know, real football rather than just video game stuff, which we're going to get back on soon. So without further ado, let's get into the tactic. And what I will say is this system is the one I've enjoyed the most so far. You know, this was a really nice system to play. It really lends itself to the areas that you can really exploit in the game, the issues, the counter-attack emphasis, pressing in moments in certain times as well. And you've got such a balanced team here as well, with the personnel that Liverpool have. So yeah, this was a really enjoyable system to play, I have to say. So with the position changes that we mentioned, obviously, yeah, we've got these two as wing backs, and the reason why we've changed that is just so they get further forward, they get further wide. The wing backs are essentially wingers in this system. It's based around partly these fullbacks in terms of the attacking phase, so they're very, very important, and they adapt, really, they change and alter what the roles are for the midfielders as well, the central three. So very, very important. And you'll notice in the gameplay on the right how important they are. They really get into those advanced positions in the opposition box and stuff in many occasions. So yeah, they're very, very important, and we do have them at wing back. So now we're going to have a look at the tactics here, and we'll start off with the defensively. So with terms of the defensive style, we've got press after possession loss. Now, a lot of people, and this was similar to a video that we did recently with Guardiola's Manchester City tactics, a lot of people think that they're an extreme gegenpressing team who are just, in terms of the fact that they're just pressing all the time. When they don't have the ball, they're just pressing all the time. Now, that's not actually true. Liverpool do their best work in the pressing game when they've just lost it in the counter press phase, and that's why we've got this press after possession loss. Otherwise, what you'll see them do fairly often is if they haven't won the ball back quickly, and you know, almost after losing it, then they'll get back into their mid block, such as like Man City do that we spoke about in the last episode, and they'll look to just to be solid and retain their shape, and then that's how they hit teams on the counter-attack. That's why they're so effective, the likes of Salah and Mane and Diogo Jota, at hitting teams on the counter-attack, because then they can get back into their shape, the opposition might commit, and then that's when space and gaps start to open up. So we have press after possession loss. Defensively, we have the width on 4, so a bit narrower than what we've seen in the past in terms of the previous tactics videos. This time, this was a nice balance. You'll see in the gameplay as well. This worked out very, very well for us. We were able to get out wide with the energetic fullbacks of Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, so it didn't leave us too open with it being only 4 in those wide areas. And with the depth, we have this on 8. So a high line obviously helps with the counter press. That's why you play a high line. Allows you to sort of strangle the opposition a little bit and force them into making long plays, because there's not enough space for them. However, we don't have this on 10. We have this on 8 instead, as a way of adapting to the game, as we mentioned at the start, because it just drops them off a little bit. It's still a high line, but it drops them off a little bit, a yard or two, which will help you not get counter-attacked on as much. Just give you a little bit of leeway. Means that maybe Gomez, Van Dijk, etc. can catch up to any over-the-top through balls that the opposition may have put over, in particular against people on the line as well. Offensively, we have fast build-up here, and this is all part of playing in with the counter-attack. It's all part of being sort of strangling the opposition, as I mentioned earlier. You know, just putting it on them, getting in their faces as much as possible, being horrible to play against. And this is how you get such an emphasis on the counter-attack, and it works so well in this game with the counter-attacking being so overpowered. Offensively, with the width we have this on 8, we spread it out as wide as possible. Get that sort of shape means that it stretches the opposition, and if they don't stretch out with you, then there's so much space for the likes of Salah, Mane, Robertson and Alexander-Arnold just to get the ball and start whipping crosses in that they're so good at, so deadly with. So with the width very, very wide on 8, you get that emphasis there. And players in the box, we have this up to 7, so it's generally free. You'll generally only find the front 3, and then maybe there's a wing back gets in from the opposite side. Occasionally you might see one of the central midfielders go into the box, but rarely, and we'll come on to that when we talk about the central midfielders. So, for example, let me think of a game, maybe the Atletico Madrid game last year when Wijnaldum scored a header. Pretty sure it was Wijnaldum. Well, we're not said Chamberlain, but it was one of the two, and they scored a header and they were in the box. So occasionally you might see a central midfielder drift into the box, but very, very rarely. So that's why we have this on 7. And finally, with the corners and free kicks, we always move this up to 4. It means you get an extra body in the box for, say, a corner, for example, just to give you more of that threat, but you've still got 2 men back and 1 on the edge of the box as well to give you that protection against the opposition counter-attack. Right, so that's the tactics finished. We're now going to switch our focus onto the player instructions. We'll start off with the keeper and we'll work our way up through the field. Now, first things first, what I'm going to say here, and spoiler alert, Roberto Firmino, his role will be false 9, obviously. But I've got to talk about this because it did come up earlier. Basically, yeah, he's a striker, but he plays as a false 9, right? So the real positions are, you are either a striker or you are either a central attacking midfielder. There is no position in between called CF, centre forward. That is not a real position. Please, 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 like, so basically I've had debates with people about this with people on my YouTube, on my comment section. Some people are adamant that there is this position called centre forward. This is not a real position, and I really wish EA would get rid of it. There is no position in between striker and central attacking midfielder called centre forward. That does not exist. A striker is a centre forward. They are the same thing. Whenever you hear pundits, managers, players, etc. talk about strikers, they'll sometimes say centre forward because they're the same thing. It's just another word for a striker, another term for a striker. There is no position in between cam and striker called centre forward. So please, you have to take that in. And the reason why I mention this is because when I originally came onto this system to change it, they had Roberto Firmino in like this position, and he was set as a centre forward. It's not a real position. There is a centre forward and a striker. They're the same thing. You change the instructions for him to be a false 9, to drop off when he needs to into those midfield areas. So if anyone comes on here, and I think it was the Liverpool video last year actually, when they were saying, when someone pulled me up about it and tried to say that he's a centre forward, not a striker. No, they're the same thing. There is no position. So there we go. That will be solved. So I just had to go on that tangent. I do apologise. We'll get back to it now, and we'll start off with Alisson in goal. Sweeper keeper and comes across his. Anytime we do a tactic and there's a high defensive line, the chances are it's going to be a sweeper keeper, because that is there to supplement that. That's why you have a sweeper keeper as an extra layer of defence behind a high defensive line. And then with the saving on crosses as well, we have him when it comes to crosses. It takes a lot of pressure off you. Keepers relatively overpowered in that sort of situation where those crosses are coming in and they come out for it and compete with a defender. They're quite often protected, so with that it does relieve a bit of pressure from you on that. With the 2 centre-backs, stick as it is, no need to change them. Now, obviously I've gone for Van Dijk and Gomez here, and I played with them in the gameplay as well. Now, yeah, I mean, Van Dijk probably injured for the season. Gomez, don't know how long he is, but it's supposed to be maybe long-term, I'm not quite sure. But for the sake of, just idealism, I've just gone for Van Dijk and Gomez, but obviously you guys will make your own decision there. The role doesn't change for the centre-back in this system.
And then with the two fullbacks, they're both the same. Obviously, we moved them up to wing back, and then they'll both have overlap and join the attack as well. They're so important to this system, and as we're going to come on to shortly, the midfield three are based around these two fullbacks as well, and it's why you know, Liverpool did go out and sign someone like Kostas Tsimikas in the summer as a backup to Andy Robertson, because they want those sort of attacking, high energetic and high upside fullbacks, out and out wing backs really. So yeah, again, really important to this system. So we'll move on to the midfield three now, and as I say, these are there to supplement the wing backs. And I mentioned it in the video last year as well, and I'm going to keep sort of saying it. The biggest part of this is that these three midfielders are there to be like the industrious engine midfielders. They are there to cover for the rest of the team. The reason why you've got so much balance in this side is because when Mane and Salah and Firmino and then Robertson and Alexander-Arnold are further forward, are in these ridiculously high positions, the midfield three generally remain in their original positions and in their shape. Outside the box, they'll very rarely venture into the box. They're not moving around to right wing, left wing positions in a free roam role. They stay where they're supposed to be, and just, it's like that do your job mentality, you know. So they are that sort of industrious engine in the centre of the park that allows Liverpool to be so adventurous with the likes of Robertson and Alexander-Arnold as well. So first off with Fabinho, he's obviously generally the holding midfielder in this situation. Sometimes Henderson plays that role, but when Fabinho's fit, it's usually him. So we have him on cut passing lanes. Again, as I keep sort of saying, man marking this year, it doesn't happen, so it allows you to really complement the press a bit more rather than that man marking system. And then obviously stay out while attacking as well as the holding midfielder. You know, that's pretty self-explanatory. And with defensive positioning, we have him on cover wing as well, which is going to be very important for all three of these central midfielders to cover that wing spaces when the likes of the fullbacks have committed. Next we have Jordan Henderson, and again, laying, you know, sort of leading on from that, stay back while attacking and stay on the edge of the box for crosses as well. Because like I say, he won't be venturing forward too much, and also, as I've just mentioned, cover wing as well. For the same reason, it will be the same for Thiago as well, who we will move on to next. Again, stay back while attacking, stay on the edge of the box for crosses and cover wing. But obviously you'll be playing a sort of different role when Thiago gets the ball. You know, try and look for those bits of moving a bit more, because obviously his passing ability, his attributes on this game, far higher than maybe someone like Henderson's or Fabinho is. Despite the fact Henderson, very underrated passing range, I think he's a really good distributor of the ball, but obviously not quite as good as someone like Thiago, who's just phenomenal in that sort of area. So yeah, just try and switch up how you're playing with each member of personnel that's on the ball, really. That's what I'd say. But other than that though, yeah, I guess that's a midfield three completed. We can move on now to the front three. We'll start off with Mane and Salah, and they've both got the same roles, but we'll talk about them in depth here. Now, cut inside and getting behind, obviously cutting inside to allow the fullbacks to get that space, and also to get them in those one-on-one situations more. As you'll notice in this game, they play a big role in that sort of area, getting into one-on-one often, and always pretty much, because they're running behind and they're angling their runs inside as well. And similar, getting to the box or crosses as well, that enables that. And they're essentially free strikers rather than wingers, but you know, this is that's just how it is. Now with defensive support, we have this on basic. Now you'll notice why Liverpool are so deadly on the counter-attack is a lot of the time the likes of Mane and Salah might stay forward, they might stay on the last man, but they're out wide obviously, so you've got that counter-attacking outlet, and you'll see how much joy I sort of get out of having those two outlets. Now to complement that, and we may as well move on to now, you'll find that Firmino is on comeback on defence, which is what he does a lot. He works very hard off the ball, not just in the counter-pressing, but also tracking back as well. And that's how you're able to still keep that solidity, because despite the fact you got Mane and Salah both staying at the top, then Firmino comes back and you're getting more bodies. You can at least get that sort of two banks of four. When he's in the middle, Hendo can come out onto the right if the ball's there, and vice versa with Thiago onto the left as well. So that's what enables you to keep Salah and Mane up top, like some of the times. Don't forget, they're only on balance, like basic defensive support, which is like balance. So sometimes they will stay back, come back, and sometimes they'll stay forward. So yeah, we'll have him on comeback on defence, and then stay central as well. You don't need him drifting wide. He has to be that focal point, which we can couple in with the fact that he is a false 9 as well. You know, you don't want him drifting wide, because then who's going to sort of replace those areas, particularly when you've got the central midfielders not running on past him, not going on beyond, and running in behind. So have him on stay central, and he can be that sort of target, but as a false 9. Yes, false 9 as a striker, not a centre forward, because they are the same thing. Last time I'll mention that now, I promise. So yeah, that's really the role sort of explained, guys. If you've got any questions about the system, then please do let me know. It'll be interesting to see if they do change this system at all with the injuries they seem to be sustaining. At least at the time of recording this, you could be watching this 10 months into the future, so it won't matter anyway. But if you're watching this around right now, it'd be interesting to see if this system does change, and if it does, then maybe we'll cover that as well, and see how different it is. But for now, yeah, like I say, any questions, do let me know. If you've got any suggestions for more tactics you want me to do, get me in the comment section. I'm sure plenty of you already are doing that, because that's a very popular thing to do in the comment section. Leave a like on the video if you've enjoyed it, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more regular gaming content from the likes of FIFA. Lots more tactics videos to come. Also, check out my second channel as well, called Bromma Ball, where we talk more about real football, and also give me a follow on Twitter as well. The link to that is in the description. And I know we are going to finish it off there. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you soon.